In the spring of 1968, something strange began to stir beneath the waves. One by one, submarines, vessels designed to move undetected through the deep, vanished without a trace. No distress calls, no explosions, no wreckage, just silence. 4 submarines from 4 different nations, Israel, France, the United States, and the Soviet Union, each with highly trained crews and advanced engineering, disappeared in rapid succession. The sea, that cold, unyielding expanse, swallowed them whole, and the world was left with questions that remain unanswered to this day. What could make not just 1, but 4 military submarines disappear during a time of relative peace? Were these merely coincidences, a series of tragic accidents compressed into a single, eerie timeline? Or was there something more, something hidden, something not meant to be found? Submariners are a breed apart. They live in silence, in steel tombs beneath the surface, for weeks, sometimes months at a time. There is no daylight, no horizon, only pressure, darkness, and routine. They place their lives in the hands of machines that dive into crushing depths, machines which, if compromised, leave no room for escape. It takes a certain kind of strength to live with that knowledge, a certain kind of mind to go down and trust that you'll come back up again. By the 1960s, submarine technology had advanced. Failures, once common in earlier decades, had become rare. These weren't rusty prototypes or wartime relics. These were modern naval assets, engineered for endurance and precision. And yet 4 of them simply vanished. No flares, no Mayday calls, no witnesses. All that remained was the lingering sound of static where once there had been life. And in each case, the timeline only grew more chilling. Israel's Dakar, gone in January. France's Minerve, days later. Then the Soviet K-129. And finally, America's pride, the USS Scorpion, swallowed by the Atlantic. This is the story of those 4 submarines, and the chilling question that binds them. What lies beneath when even steel cannot return? It began with a signal. On January 25th, 1968, a transmission was received from the Israeli submarine INS Dakar. The message was brief but firm. Dakar is in the depths at full strength. It was the last time anyone would ever hear from her. Dakar wasn't always Israeli. She was born HMS Totem, part of Britain's World War II T-class fleet, and had served for decades beneath the Royal Navy. In 1965, the vessel was sold to Israel, modernized and recommissioned under a new flag and a new name. Under the command of Major Rahaman Ronan, the Dakar left Portsmouth, England on January 9, 1968, heading for her new home in Haifa. She was expected to arrive by February 2nd, but Dakar made such good time that Ronan requested an earlier arrival, January 29th. The journey was smooth, routine check-ins, calm seas, until that final message, sent as she passed near Crete, just before midnight. The sea was rough, but Dakar reported no issues. Full strength, Ronan said, and then nothing. When Dakar failed to report again, alarm bells rang. A multinational search began. Ships from the United Kingdom, the United States, Lebanon, Greece, and Turkey scoured the Mediterranean. They found only a single clue, an emergency buoy, severed from the submarine and floating off the coast of Cyprus. Its distress beacon had been triggered, but the ocean gave up nothing more. After days of silence, the search was abandoned. Israel mourned its 69 missing crewmen, and for 32 years, Dakar remained lost. Her fate, a chilling mystery. It wasn't until May of 1999 that sonar scans finally located her. Resting nearly 10,000 feet beneath the sea between Crete and Cyprus, her shattered hull gave no clear answers. There was no evidence of an explosion, no trace of impact, only silence. Her last words still echo. In the depths, at full strength. But strength wasn't enough. And the depths, it seems, had other plans. 2 days later, it happened again. January 27, 1968, the French submarine Minerve, a Daphne-class vessel, departed for a short patrol mission off the southern coast of France. It was routine. The crew of 52 men were seasoned and trained. The Minerve herself was small but swift, capable of long-range reconnaissance in shallow waters. She was only 25 nautical miles from Toulon, her home port. She was returning. And then she vanished. The weather that day was rough. Waves pounded the steel hull, and visibility was poor. But Lieutenant Andre Fauve radioed command. Nothing out of the ordinary. The Minerve was on her way back, scheduled to dock within the hour. And then, silence. No explosion. No emergency signal. No clue. A storm had delayed search efforts, but when the waters calmed, French, British, and American ships fanned out. They searched a 320-mile radius, combing the seafloor for days. Weeks, but there was nothing. No oil slick, no debris, no sound. It was as if the ocean had simply consumed her. France was stunned. This was no outdated relic like Dakar. Minerve had a perfect record. Her crew were elite, her systems tested. Yet now she was gone, not in the deep ocean, but within eyesight of her own coastline. Some said she sank quickly, leaving no time to respond. Others whispered darker theories. Could the Minerve have been sabotaged, intercepted, silenced? But speculation led nowhere. The wreckage wasn't found. Not in 1968, not in 1978, not in 1988. It wasn't until June 2019, over 50 years later, that the Minerve was finally discovered on the seabed, almost perfectly preserved. But even then, no cause was confirmed. A submarine disappeared, just minutes from home, within sight of safety, and no one saw it coming. By the time the USS Scorpion set sail in 1968, she was already a legend. Launched in 1960, Scorpion was a marvel of Cold War engineering, a nuclear-powered attack submarine, fast and stealthy, armed with torpedoes and secrets. She prowled the Atlantic and Mediterranean with quiet menace, slipping past Soviet sonar, gathering intelligence, trailing targets. But time was catching up with her. By late 1967, the Scorpion was showing wear: leaks, electrical fires, faulty engines. Her overhaul had been cut short, budget constraints perhaps, or something else. When she left Rota, Spain, in May 1968, her mission was simple: observe Soviet activity and come home. She never made it. On May 22nd, Scorpion's last transmission reached headquarters. Commander Francis Slattery reported sighting Soviet ships. He was diverting course to shadow them. Then, nothing. The silence was deafening. Days passed, then weeks. When the Navy finally declared her lost, 99 families received the news no sailor's loved ones ever want to hear. Her wreck was eventually found, 5 months later, 10,000 feet down in the Atlantic, 500 miles southwest of the Azores. The hull was crushed, the tail torn away, the reactor breached, no escape. But the most disturbing part? No one knows what sank her. Some blame mechanical failure. Others suggested she was attacked, perhaps by the very Soviets she had been observing. Conspiracy theorists claimed it was retaliation for a separate Soviet loss, a silent battle waged in the dark, hidden from the world. The Scorpion's logbook never told the story. Her crew could not speak, and the sea, as always, kept its secrets. While the Mediterranean drowned 2 submarines, the Pacific was not yet done with its toll. Just weeks after the disappearances of Dakar and Minerve, the Soviet submarine K-129 went silent. She was a Gulf II-class ballistic missile submarine, nuclear-powered, nuclear-armed, a weapon of immense destructive power designed to patrol the vast stretches of the Pacific Ocean and, if necessary, strike the United States with 1 megaton warheads. On February 24, 1968, K-129 left port to begin her 3rd long-range mission. She had successfully completed 2 70-day tours before. There was nothing unusual about this voyage. She was under orders to patrol American naval zones around Hawaii. Her progress was normal, until February 26th, when her updates stopped. The Soviet Navy panicked. A massive but secret search began. Ships and aircraft fanned out across thousands of miles of open sea, but it was too late. K-129 was gone. They tried to keep it quiet, but the sudden surge in Soviet naval activity caught the attention of the U.S. military. American sonar arrays and reconnaissance aircraft joined the hunt, not to help, but to monitor. And then, in August, they found her. Resting nearly 5,000 feet below the surface, 1,500 miles northwest of Hawaii, the K-129 was shattered. Her hull breached, her reactor cracked open, leaking radioactive material over a 20-mile radius. Her missiles, armed and ready, now sat rusting on the ocean floor. What happened to her? We may never know. Soviet records are incomplete, perhaps intentionally. Some say she simply sank. Human error, a mechanical fault, a fatal miscalculation. But others whisper of a darker tale, a clash, an American sub lying in wait, a silent confrontation beneath the waves, and retaliation months later, because the next submarine to vanish was the Scorpion. 4 submarines, 4 nations, 4 disappearances, all within the span of a few months, all in 1968. Coincidence or choreography? Military experts point to structural flaws, operational fatigue, and outdated equipment. Dakar, after all, was a World War II relic. The Minerve was small, experimental. The Scorpion had been denied a full overhaul. K-129 was operating close to enemy waters. Perhaps the ocean simply claimed its due. But what if it wasn't the ocean? The Cold War was a chess game played in shadows, above ground, across skies, and below the seas. Submarines were not just weapons, they were symbols, tools of intimidation and espionage. And beneath the diplomatic smiles and public treaties, there was hatred, paranoia, fear. Could one sinking have been a message? Could another have been revenge? USS Scorpion's captain had reported Soviet ships along his path just hours before disappearing. Some believed they were waiting, that the Scorpion was ambushed, that the Soviets had received secret intel, perhaps leaked by a mole, that they acted and left no survivors. Others point to Project Azorian, America's top-secret attempt to salvage the K-129 years later. Why invest so much in recovering a sunken enemy sub, unless it wasn't just about curiosity? What if it was about covering tracks? What if both sides had blood on their hands? And what if the ocean was the only witness? Submarines are unlike any other vessels. They are coffins with engines, designed to slip beneath the surface and vanish from sight. For weeks, even months, their crews breathe recycled air, live by red light, and speak only in hushed tones. In the deep, time bends. Distance becomes irrelevant, and death is always one mistake away. When something goes wrong down there, it goes wrong fast. No one can come to help. No one can hear you scream. There is no emergency exit. It's a one-way descent into darkness. The wrecks of the Dakar, Minerve, Scorpion, and K-129 became tombs, steel graves sealed under miles of crushing water. There were no survivors, no final words, only static and salt. And yet, even in death they speak. Scorpion's twisted hull suggested implosion. K-129 leaked radiation. Dakar's emergency beacon tried to scream into the void. Minerve left nothing at all. No trail, no trace, no goodbye. Each tells a story, but none reveal the full truth. Was it incompetence, sabotage, acts of war, or something else entirely? There are whispers of sea creatures, of unknown anomalies, of unidentified submerged objects. But such theories lack evidence, and so we're left only with silence. The kind of silence that lingers, the kind that swells up from the abyss and wraps around you like a cold, wet shroud. The kind that stares back from the black. When logic fails, imagination fills the void. The official stories behind these disappearances, if they can even be called official, speak of accidents, mechanical faults, old age, training errors, all plausible, but the timing is not. Dakar sinks in January. Minerve disappears days later. K-129 vanishes in February. Scorpion follows in May. 4 separate navies, 4 unrelated missions, 4 sudden silences, unrelated or perfectly orchestrated. Some point fingers at geopolitics. Just 6 months before Dakar's disappearance, Israel had triumphed in the Six-Day War, embarrassing its Soviet-aligned neighbors. In the chaos, Israeli jets mistakenly bombed the USS Liberty, an American signals intelligence ship. A tragic error, they said. But some believed it was intentional, a message. And what if America responded not with a press conference, but with torpedoes? Or perhaps it was the Soviets. Dakar had previously been HMS Totem, a British submarine that once patrolled the Baltic to contain Soviet activity. Old wounds die hard. In 1970, Egyptian media claimed Dakar had been sunk by an Egyptian Navy vessel using depth charges. No evidence was offered, but no denial either. Scorpion's fate? Some say she was ambushed. Her position leaked by traitors inside the U.S. Navy. The name John Anthony Walker surfaces often. A spy, a man who sold secrets to the Soviet Union for years. And K-129? Perhaps not a victim at all, but the aggressor. The theory goes like this. K-129 attempted to launch a rogue nuclear strike, was intercepted by an American submarine, and sunk to prevent disaster. A conspiracy? Maybe. But in the Cold War, truth was often the first casualty. And when secrets drown beneath 10,000 feet of water, it's easy to say nothing ever happened. There were signs, small ones, strange ones, but they were there. Take the USS Swordfish, for example. A U.S. submarine that arrived in a Japanese port for emergency repairs just days after K-129 went missing. Her periscope was damaged. The Navy claims she hit an iceberg in the Pacific. An iceberg? In March? Even Soviet commanders didn't buy it. Or Project Azorian, the CIA's multi-million-dollar operation to retrieve parts of the K-129 years later. They claimed it was to study Soviet technology. But why send a ship the size of a skyscraper to recover a broken relic unless it was never about the sub at all? Perhaps it was about what or who was inside it. Whispers grew louder. That Scorpion was sunk in retaliation for K-129. That deals were made behind closed doors. That Cold War peace was maintained through backroom bloodshed. Even surviving submariners told strange stories of sonar echoes that came from nowhere, of signals lost in static, of moments where the ocean felt aware. But the most chilling truth? None of the families ever got real answers. No final logs, no last recordings, no open investigations, just ceremonies, flags, and silence. In the abyss, truth is weightless, and lies sink just the same. Today, the ocean floor still holds them. The Dakar, the Minerve, the Scorpion, the K-129. They lie beneath thousands of feet of cold, crushing water. Silent, sealed, forgotten by time, but not by those who loved them. No war was ever declared. No battles were ever named. But men died. Young men, trained men, loyal men. They died doing their duty. And perhaps that's the most haunting part. Not how they died, but how little the world seemed to care once the headlines faded. The Cold War moved on, new weapons, new enemies. The sea kept its secrets. But we remember their names, even if we never knew their faces. We remember their ships, even if we never saw their silhouettes. And we remember this, that monsters do not always rise from the depths. Sometimes they wear medals, sometimes they hold pens, and sometimes they smile while shaking hands. May the lost find peace beneath the waves, and may the truth, whatever it is, someday rise to the surface. Music fades to silence.